Let's go ahead and get into some of the news of the day that just came out 5 minutes ago. How about that? Shout out to the NBA for doing this. But Oklahoma City Thunder have reached an agreement with their star forward, Jalen Williams, a rookie max extension, 5 years worth up to $287 million. This is on the heels of about 24 hours ago, reaching an agreement with Chet Holmgren. Jalen Williams, though, now signs 5 years, $287 million, as the Thunder have their core guys complete. SGA signed earlier this offseason, Chet about 24 hours ago, and Jalen Williams about 5 minutes ago. A whopping total of $822 million for this Oklahoma City Thunder Big Three, as they all cash in after getting the ultimate prize a few weeks ago, that being the NBA title. The second apron is looming, like Freddy Krueger and Friday the 13th, like Michael Myers in Halloween, like Jason Voorhees or whatever. I guess Freddy Krueger is in Nightmare on Elm Street, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's looming out there in a couple years, but for now, I think the Thunder fans are going to enjoy having these three young guys on the roster for the next couple of years at least.
Yeah, what do you say? That's a problem for future Jared, future Thunder owners and GMs will worry about that. Or maybe for Sam Presti, it'll be just a future version of himself. I'm assuming they're pretty happy in OKC land today. I would, because I remember we were doing a show. I want to say it was either during the finals or right before the finals, and I think we had the debate of the big three, and really it was the two, right? Because they're going to keep SGA. You know, if they had to pick between Holmgren or Jalen Williams, if the cap restricts them from keeping both, which one do they keep? And I think I originally said J-Dub, and then you push back with Chet would be the guy that you keep because he's kind of a unicorn. And then I think I eventually came around to that line of thinking, because I think it's obviously tough. Both are incredible players. They both do very different things. Where they are, you know, when they have to make that decision probably would have dictated who they keep. But now it appears, at least on the surface, they keep both. And that's the best case scenario, right? We love these guys. Let's keep them all. Why wouldn't we want to keep them all? I want to shout out the BetMGM social team. So if you notice on a lot of these big major posts, BetMGM is always one of the first books I notice. And listen, all the sports books have people running their social media. But BetMGM always has great replies to a lot of the big accounts.
It's active.
They had a really good one for this particular post. They tweeted under the Shams breaking news banner, and they said Seattle Supersonics sold for $350 million in 2006. OKC signed SGA Chet J-Dub for $822 million. Yeah, like it's a crazy, and again, inflation, this and that, you know, EBITDA, I don't want to get into the financial terms of exactly what went into that sale and what that would actually be in real money today. It'd probably be relatively close. Or at least a lot higher than $350 million. So there's a little bit of, you know, in relation to kind of make that, but the perspective is fantastic. I mean, it's three players, and that's where the next part of the conversation comes, right? I mean, it's like how else do you fill out a roster? They were so good because they were so deep. Now, are you going to be able to continue that depth, paying all these guys what they're paying them? So that's the next part of it. But again, that feels like a tomorrow problem. Today, I think all is sunshine and rainbows in OKC.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of clarity too with OKC, because like these extensions that you see, like these guys signing in the NBA, usually they don't kick in for like another couple of years unless the guy's an unrestricted free agent. Both Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren were not unrestricted free agents. They were entering like their fourth year in the league next season. So I think they were able to at least like tack on a couple of years to where there's a little bit of a buffer before the extension really kicks in. But once that extension kicks in, that's when the decision has to be made. So it gets easy to hand out these extensions right now. Like, hey, like these guys are great players. Let's do this. But like they're going to have to figure this out at some point. It's not going to be next year. It might not even be in 26, 27, but in 27, 28, there's no way they're going to keep these three guys on the roster. And that's when they'll have to decide, who do we trade? What do we do? Like that's when it really kicks in. And like, it's interesting because as Grant puts in the chat, like they had a lot of draft picks, and that's how they're going to be able to kind of, I guess, like circumvent the whole deal. It's like, okay, like even though we might trade some guys, we have draft picks, or we can let go some of the role players, maybe all of the role players, and then supplement that with the draft picks and try to build out the roster that way. So they have some flexibility. But like, I mean, SGA, when his kicks in, it's $70-something million a year. You know, like these are high dollar contracts on an annual average basis. Like, I don't see how they're going to keep all of them together unless they do some bare bones with the role players, or maybe they just let one of them go, trade them for some more draft picks, because we know Sam Presti loves his draft picks. He loves his flexibility. I think 2 years down the line, that's when this becomes really, really interesting. But for right now, it's re-up. Congratulations, we just won the title. Let's try to make a 2-year run to win 2, maybe 3 championships over the next couple of years.
Yeah. VMix Call in the chat's killing it right now. It's Grant Leader,
our
technical producer. We all have our little logins, and that's always the one that I mentioned today. We need to have name tags for that login, because I never know on which day, whenever Jake's out, who's doing it. But Grant's doing a great job kind of keeping us supplemented with a little bit, these nuggets for us to chew on. Everyone back. On this year's championship team, everyone's going to be back next year. This is not a next season problem. This is probably a 2-season problem, right? The 26-27 team is probably going to be the first team where you're like, all right, that OKC team is obviously starting to feel a little bit hamstrung. But then the other factors you have to consider, and this is why what you mentioned of getting this done early is beneficial. Salary cap keeps going up and up and up. So the earlier you do this, the more you save on the back end. It's like, are you willing to put in the work now? Are you willing to pay a little bit more upfront now for that extra 5-10% of wiggle room in 2 years? And that this is all a math thing. People much smarter than us who are accountants and lawyers are going to figure this out. And you just have to trust Sam Presti's people. It's really more about his team and
which
his
is easy
specific.
to do.
Exactly. And that I think is a lot of what these contract news dumps are. A lot of it's just facts and figures being sent to us by agents and management teams. And then us in the media have to use our discernment to know if this particular GM is making a foolish or a wise decision. I think in this particular case, even though the numbers are whoa, $822 million for 3 guys, you have to look at it through the frame of who the 3 guys are and when it's going to actually hurt them in 2 years. The cap will be X amount percentage higher. It won't hurt them as much. And again, it's hard for a peon's brain to wrap our heads around this, but I do think this was a really, really smart move long-term for them.
So with the 3 guys now signed, sealed, and delivered, SGA, Chet Holmgren, now Jalen Williams today, OKC plus 275 to repeat as NBA champions. Do the Thunder win the title again next year, Jared?
I mean, probably, or at least they're in the championship, probably. But I don't want to make that bet right now. That's not a bet.
They're bringing everyone back. They're bringing everyone back from the roster. Everyone's under contract. They're all it's on paper, it looks really, really good for a team that won 68 games last year that was missing Chet Holmgren for a large portion of the season, missing Isaiah Hartenstein for a large portion of the season, and they were still one of the great defensive teams in recent history. It's all out there for them to go out there and do it again.
This is what it feels like, but you tell me if I'm off base with this comparison. It feels like the Boston Celtics coming off a championship, bringing everybody back in an Eastern Conference that was for the taking again. It feels that easy. It feels on that level of you'd be shocked to think the Celtics aren't in the finals again next year. Guess what? They didn't even make the Eastern Conference finals the next year. So best laid plans of mice and men. Today, it feels that easy. But is that a bet I'm willing to make now with certainty, knowing how much time is between now and when the actual result will be determined? No, I'm not willing to make that bet now.
And to your point, 2 years ago, it felt like Denver was going to go on a run as well. And then they didn't even get to the Western Conference Finals, blowing that Game 7 at home to the Minnesota Timberwolves, bowing out in the semifinals, or the conference semis, I shall say. So it's a new day in the NBA. It feels like these teams should go on these runs, and OKC is probably the one that's best equipped to do it, given the age of these guys and the flexibility that they do have. But I mean, you look around that Western Conference in particular, a lot of teams got better. And the team we just mentioned, the Denver Nuggets, they are one of them. And SGA is awesome and OKC is awesome. But the best player in the league, that guy plays in Denver. That's Nikola Jokic. And Nikola Jokic took those dudes to 7 games this year with nobody. Murray was doing God knows what in Game 7. Aaron Gordon was limping around. Michael Porter Jr. was with a sling on a basketball court. Like, if that team is healthy and they've made improvements, maybe Denver is the team, or even the Houston Rockets, who, oh, by the way, I don't know if you know, just traded for Kevin Durant a couple weeks ago. The West is going to be a hell of a lot of fun, man. It's going to be great in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Cannot wait to see it play out. But Jalen Williams, J-Dub, should be J-Money signed after the rookie max extension signed, as the whole core will be back for the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder.